elections, Pat Moore was determined to have been selected one-year alternate trustee position. However, subsequent to the October 2020 election, I believe towards the end of 2020, it is my understanding that Randy Davis, who held the Class A trustee position and whose term expired September 30th, 2021, resigned, leaving 1 year left in his term. Pat Moore, as the alternate trustee elected in October 2020, then was moved into the Class A trust term vacated by Randy at the end of 2020, and Pat Moore was expected to complete that term until October 2021. This would be anticipated in the covenants. Larry Longworth had already stepped in before the October 21 election to fill a vacated Class B trustee position, which position term does not expire until 2022. However, the election committee's understanding and the board's understanding also, at the time of the October 2021 election, committee report was that Larry Longworth had never won election to a full 3-year term. He came into a Class B 3-year trustee position by virtue of the fact that he was originally an alternate trustee in our operation, or by operation of Proposition B. He had already served 2 years on the board at the time. He assumed the remainder of the Class B trustee position, which term expired October 2022, and 3, as of October 2021, Larry will have served a total of 3 years. Excuse me, this fly is driving me crazy. Thank you. Larry will have served a total of 3 years on the Board of Trustees in one capacity. Thank you. I never thought I'd say thank you. Since Proposition B provides in paragraph 5A and section D, Article 3, if at any time a position is vacated before the term is expired, the trustee sitting with less than a 3-year term and the next highest number of votes shall step in to fill out the remainder of the vacated term, effective immediately, up to a maximum of no more than 3 years. The underlined phrase was interpreted by the election committee to mean that if Larry Longworth was never elected to a full 3-year term position and served on the board in any position by virtue of stepping in, according to Proposition B or otherwise, then he can only serve a total of 3 years on the board without running for a full 3-year term position in an election. Based on that, it was concluded by the election committee that Larry stepped in to fill the vacated Class B trustee position, which expires in October 2022. He can only serve in that position until October 2021 and must vacate the position in October 2021, leaving 1 more year left in that term. This conclusion is not unreasonable. It may be possible that a different interpretation could be had to the very same and unclear language of Proposition B. But this is the conclusion that the election committee came to, and it is my understanding that the board agreed to it, so the election report delivered in October 2020 and adopted by the board October 2020 was presented as attached. Finally, it should be noted, as we have disclosed in the past, there is only one committee that is specifically called for, named and delegated specific authorities in the Goose Creek subdivision covenants, and that is the election committee. Generally, that would indicate that although the board may appoint the committee members and chair once constituted, the election committee should be given a reasonable degree of deference in deciding questions of discretion and in resolving questions equally and reasonably resolved in more than one way. It is my opinion that the application of Proposition B is one example of such language that is capable of different, competing, and equally supportable interpretations. Again, the election committee's interpretation of that language, in my view, was not unreasonable and was not objected to by the board or any person. I hope this clarifies the question of the October 2020 election committee report. Please feel free toward any remaining questions to me through either of you or Kelly, as the board may have. And what he's referring to is myself, Bill, or Kelly, as I'm the chairman and Bill is the vice chairman. Signed, Ken Schmidt, attorney at law. Does any of that make a lot of sense to anybody? Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody on the board have any questions?
So that's saying that basically Larry had 3 years.
Sorry.
So basically, he's saying that Larry had 3 years, right? And had 1 term.
Right, and he's fulfilling that 3-year term right now. At the
Okay,
end of
because-
this, he will have fulfilled a 3-year term.
Because Larry was elected in 2018. Then he did a 1 year in 2019 for Prop B. And he also did a 1 year again in 2020 for Prop B.
Right,
So that's
and that-
1 term.
And that, no, because he was already serving, so that equals 3 years, which is a full term.
Okay,
That's the way the
so
attorney
it's
explained it.
considered 1 term.
I don't necessarily,
It was on.
okay, I don't necessarily know that it indicates 1 term, and I don't think the lawyer has addressed the term. The lawyer has addressed the length of the appointment, but it's not referred to as a term, so I think that's making an assumption.
The only thing I can tell you is he was looking at the sheet that he was given, and I'll read this off, and it's a spreadsheet kind of spread, where it says Randy Davis. It says Randy Davis to serve until 2021 as a Class A trustee. Bill Manus served till 2021, Class A trustee. Mickey Bange, 2021, Class A. Larry Longworth to serve until 2021. Position expires in 2022. However, Mr. Longworth must resign in 2021 because he will have served 3 years only elected in first year. Can only serve maximum of 3 years without standing for election.
What that's saying, from the looks of it, again, when we were talking to him, he indicated that was 2 terms. Because he said
Right.
he was elected the first time.
Right,
And then he became, on the other
Appointed.
term,
He was
he got the
appointed.
other 2 years.
right.
Not
Yeah.
2 years, he got 1 year and then 1 year, so he filled out 2
No,
other.
he got,
Randy
1 year the
has his
first
hand
time.
up.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
Bill, I was in on that conversation with Ken last year,
Randy?
and he had decided, because Proposition B extended the term up to 3 years, and through its nature of trying to keep continuity, 3-year terms, that counted as 1 term. Larry would be eligible to sign up and run again this year because he had served 3 years. That's why the cutoff, that's why the verbiage of 3 years maximum was in there, so that nobody could possibly say 7 years, you know?
Okay.
Because we had written into the covenants since the beginning of time, 3-year terms.
And that's the way I understand
So
He can run.
it was considered 1 term. The same thing like Pat was an alternate, and she accepted my term. That doesn't count as 2 terms. It's 1 term. If she runs again, that's another term. Unfortunately, then that would count as 2. But,
Right.
I mean, if it got extended over and over, you know, it's up to the 3 years. You could serve a maximum of 6 years. Kind of just like the President of the United States. You know, we got these 3-year terms in there, and that's the maximum. That was the ideal. Otherwise, like Larry filled that term that had another year on it, if he sat and then ran again, he could possibly sit for 7 years. Nobody wanted to extend the maximum that was already there.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
But he deemed it was considered 1 term.
So if I finish Melissa's term until next year,
But you weren't on the board, you were not a sitting trustee when Melissa quit. So, Proposition B says if a sitting trustee, you hadn't even run for the board.
I
yet
see,
When
okay.
Melissa quit.
I see.
And I understand, you can make it confusing if you want, or you can simplify it.
No, I'm just asking.
I know, and I was there, I helped write it, we helped design the verbiage, and I've been back and forth with Ken a dozen times on it, so I'm just trying to help. But yes, last year, the same thing come up, because the same question was, if Larry doesn't extend, or I think it was Larry that we were talking about last year, but whoever it was, does that count as multiple terms? Same thing as like, you're an alternate, but you're not now, you're a trustee. If that, like me, if you stepped in 2 years, then that's still only been one term. They're not gonna sit there and rack up. The ideal isn't to short term you. It isn't to make it worse than it already is. We were trying to keep a board that learned to work together, because you guys know all too well, when you first come into it and you got new people, it takes a long time for everybody to get on a common page and work together.
But according to Ken, if just say I took Melissa's spot and did her term next year, just say I did, then he said that would be 2 terms for me and I could not run again.
That's not the way he explained it last year.
No.
If your term was extended, then that constituted not another term, but an extension of your existing term up to 3 years. And he said that 3 years, the cap that we put on it is what solidified that it was one term. Because otherwise, you wouldn't have put a cap on it. Why would you put a cap on the end of it if you were gonna count it as different terms?
His
Well, it makes-
recommendation, when we were on the phone with him, Bill, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that, Pat, you have two ideas here. You can stay as an alternate, or you can run again. Am I right with that?
Yes.
But if you stay as an alternate, it's gonna count as a term, or something like that. It was,
Well, I mean, she's an alternate now, or she's
Right.
a trustee
She's a-
now. but
right.
She's not eligible for Melissa's term because it was vacated before she ever ran for the board. So,
Right.
I mean, that is.
So Larry took that, Larry was able to take that because he was already a
He
sitting
was a
trustee.
sitting.
That makes more
Proposition B,
sense.
The verbiage says, if a sitting trustee, I'll tell you the truth. Proposition B was never meant to apply to the alternate whatsoever. It was not. There was clear verbiage that was in the covenants that says that an alternate is only to serve to the end of that year. It was left there and not addressed in Proposition B on purpose. But the lawyer, last year when all the legal stuff was going on, urged us to let that slide in a certain instance because it would be in the best interest of all Goose Creek owners. It put an end to a lawsuit that was costing us a shitload of money. Proposition B was never even supposed to apply to the alternate. When Barb ran last year, by Proposition B, she could have stayed on by Proposition B, but she ran and got her term. She was the alternate when Proposition B was written. It wasn't meant to apply to the alternate. And that's why the verbiage was left in the covenants that said an alternate only serves to the end of the year. You do with it what you want, but that's the truth.
It makes more sense.
So the bottom line is 3-year term, you're out.
Right, no more than 3 years.
No more, no matter.
And that's just so it don't get any more stagnant, than it can.
the legal verbiage, I can't even say it. You have to really sit down and figure it out with a pencil and paper. And it's, Bill and I were on the phone with him for half hour, 45 minutes, going over this thing. And, that's what it says, and that's why we had him write it out, so that there would be no conflict.
So you have a conclusion now? I mean, are we gonna?
Well, if we go by this, we're gonna have 5 people running this year. I mean, 5 people, there'll be 5 positions available.
3-year, a 1 year, and an alternate, correct?
I think so, yeah, I think
Yes.
you're right.
And that's the way it should interpret.
1 year for Melissa's.
Mr. Chairman,
Unless Pat chooses to make that her 1 year.
Well, Randy says I can't do that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in the covenants, the provision that we are referring to, it indicates that if at any time a position is vacated before the term is expired, the trustee sitting with less than a 3-year term and the next highest number of votes shall step in to take that position. It has to be a trustee that's sitting on the board with less than a 3-year term. We have a person in that position, and that's Pat.
Right.
Pat is sitting on the board. She does not have a 3-year term. And we have Larry, who is no longer eligible
Right. It is
in there, so there is a position vacated. And as of the date of the election, I feel that Pat would go into that position to complete that final year of that term.
Final year.
Right, so she would be in the same class as me, which is called Class B, according to our chart. So we would have me, I was elected to the 3 years. Michelle, who came in under Proposition B to fulfill either Melissa or Joe's term, and now Pat will be completing somebody's term.
Randy's turn.
Well, no, Randy's term is up this year.
Randy's term is up.
But
so
there's
it
another
would be-
term that's vacated because of Larry not being eligible.
That's going back 2 years. You cannot go back and add Melissa's term to Pat's.
It's still a vacated term. She did not complete her 3-year term, and it needs to be filled. And according to Proposition B wording, it says, if at any time a position is vacated before the term expired, a trustee sitting with less than a 3-year term, the only one we have is Pat, fills that position. It's an interpretation. That's why we really need to figure out how this wording should work and then make sure it says that. But right now, it is open to a lot of interpretation. You have yours, I have mine.
The attorney has his.
The attorney says, hey, it's a reasonable conclusion. Well, you can have 20 reasonable conclusions in this room alone.
Now, he did tell us.
No.
Yes. Yes.
It's gotta be voted on after we rewrite it. Well, if we put it on the October election ballot, then what do we do with the? Yeah.
October, it needs to be clear. And as much as this place drags its feet, it ought to be worked on right now. Am I right? Yes.
We're having a covenants meeting on the first Saturday
August 7th.
of August, and that is one of the things that's on the agenda. We've been,
It's really a covenants decision,
no, it's not a covenants decision.
Well-
We make the suggestion.
suggestion, and then the board votes on it.
Yeah. And the board's going to be at that meeting as well.
But there will be no votes there. Vote will be public.
In October. Talk on the mic.
Okay, what,
About the election, who's eligible.
you mean the certified candidate? That's number 3.
Is this the covenants line?
Line 3.
Wait, so this is changes you've already made to the covenant.
This is what, how.
Proposed changes.
Okay, I'll read it, her suggestion. This is number 3 in the trustee election procedures. The certified candidate with the highest number of votes after those elected shall be the alternate trustee. The alternate shall be elected for 1 year. The alternate trustee shall attend all board meetings, but does not have a vote. In the event a trustee is unable to discharge his or her duties for any reason, the alternate trustee shall take office until the next election of trustees. Period. I mean, that's basically what it says, and I think that, in legalese, I think that's what the attorney's trying to tell us, but.
Right, because you can't keep filling that same void if somebody quit 3 months
Right.
and it's already happened. So it goes to the vote of the people again, right?
You're only supposed to trust that all.
Right.
You're only supposed to fulfill that term until the next election. That's it.
I mean, that's the way I always understood it, and after talking with Bill and I talking to the attorney, I guess that's what he meant.
But then again, Larry has served 2 years on Prop B when he was an alternate to begin with in 2018.
Still can only fulfill the rest of that remaining year for the next election before you come. That's as long as you can run it, as long.
Maximum of whatever.
Until you get into Prop B.
So you're saying that what happened in the past does not count?
Well, I'm saying what's in there, you run, you fulfill that position until the next election according to what's in the covenant.
Right, we have to learn from the past, not do what we did last time because we do what we did last time. Like he's saying, we need to figure out the rules. Obviously, everybody wants to figure them out, but we have to figure them out and proceed with them, not go, well, last year we did this, so let's just go ahead and shake our head and bang against the wall, you know? Let's learn from it, move forward, and then we can.
So I'm taking it, we need to, at the Covenants Committee, have them present something.
Right, we need to address the conflict between, as an example, Pat is the example. She was an alternate. She is now a trustee. She's sitting there without a 3-year term, so you've got a conflict in one paragraph with another paragraph. That was never addressed, and that's one of the reasons why we're having problems with this wording, is that it was, sorry, Randy, it was written in haste, and now we're living with it in our leisure. So, but the Covenants Committee, like I said, we're having a meeting the first, which would be the 7th of August. It's at 9 o'clock. We're going to have it here because we've invited all of the trustees to come to the meeting, and anyone else that's interested to come. But it is a working meeting, so it's not going to be a back and forth. Trustees,
session.
we're going to work on the arbitration panel wording and also on this wording about the alternate trustee.
Which is going to lead to a long meeting. There's a lot to cover.
The one thing that I'd like to make
It will be
clear
long.
though
Bring a
is
snack.
in Larry's original election, he was elected for a 1-year term. He was not elected as an alternate. He was actually elected for a 1-year term in 2018.
Correct. So
So
it makes
he
him
wasn't elected
different.
as an alternate, so he would not drop out because he was an alternate. You know, like the covenants say, because he was elected for a 1-year term. He wasn't elected as an alternate, so that's the key with that decision.
So you mean he gets a stamp on him again?
No, he's off now because of the 3 years, but he was originally elected as a 1-year term. He was not elected as an alternate, why he was able to step in and fulfill 2 more years, because he was not elected as an alternate.
And the same thing would, am I working?
Yeah.
The same thing would happen this year. There would, if you do not bump up, then there would be an election for 3-year trustees, a 1-year trustee, and an alternate.
Yes.
Make a motion to accept that and move on.
So I have something to say.
Go ahead.
You know, when I ran, it was just, I just ran because I got so tired of getting different answers from everybody. Trustees office people, whoever it was. So I won. I mean, I didn't win. I won. I get 500 votes for an alternate, which is pretty good. And I've learned a lot in 10 months, 11 months, whatever. But I'm still learning. And yes, Phil Johnson, you're right. That does happen a lot on this board. It's just like, well, that's why we always did it, so let's just, that's what we're gonna do it again. And that's not right. We should fix it. So I am on the ballot because I was afraid that this would happen. And I will run. That's all right. I'm cool with that. And I would like to win again. But if I don't, then it's everything happens for the best. But I will run again, and hopefully I win again. And I'll try my best to continue to do what's best for Goose Creek. Because I think it needs a lot of help in a lot of areas. And I'm trying to do that, but it's tough. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you for that. I guess it's up to.
I want to say one. I'm sorry,
ahead.
Steve. It was really hard for me. Nothing personal to Dean Martin, but you sit in here every month and you make fun of the trustees. You yell at us, you tell us it's our job, do your job. I'm not here to do your job, you need to do your job every month. I've been here for 10 months, and every month you continue to belittle and humiliate us. Well, I'm gonna tell you something, it's a damn shame that the chairman of who else on the election committee, can I ask that? Do you have any?
I've got a list here somewhere, I think.
Are you talking about last year or this year?
Who's on there right now?
Right now, I have Mike Schaefer, Lynn Angle, Sandy Froman, myself, Carolyn Bunch, I believe, Lynn Craig, and that is it. Several of them have ran away from this whole situation.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, wait a minute, I'm not done. I am not done. So last week, this is what you read, and I'm sorry to take up all your time. I'm really, truly sorry. I know we all got things to do today.
That's what we're here for.
The fall meeting is held on the first Saturday of October. The primary purpose of the meeting is to elect trustees, make changes to the annual assessment amount, and for the transaction of any pertinent business required. At this time, we have 3 trustees coming off the board that will be replaced by 3 certified candidates with the highest number of votes. The certified candidate with the next highest vote count will fill the alternate position. Article 3, voting election D5A states, if at any time a position is vacated before the term expired, the trustee sitting with less than a 3-year term and the next highest number of votes shall step in to fill out the remainder of the vacated term, effective immediately up to a maximum of no more than 3 years. This year, we had 2 board members resign, each during the first year of their 3-year terms. We have 2 seated trustees with less than a 3-year term, Larry Longworth and Michelle Ernst. They both will step in to fill out the remainder of these vacated terms. Dean Martin read this paper last week. Dean Martin also stated, this is from the attorney, as the chairman of the election board, it is an absolute shame that this is the only paperwork he has. Because here it says, and he was adamant, oh no, Larry, you have to stay. Pat comes off, Larry's staying. But right here, and Dean Martin and the election people are supposed to sign this. Do you see its blame? That's disorganized chaos. That's what it is. Because right here it says Larry Longworth to serve until 2021. Position expires on 2022. However, Mr. Longworth must resign in 2021 because we'll have served 3 years and only elected in the first year. Can only serve a maximum of 3 years without standing for election. If the election chairman and the election committee does not have paperwork like this, we have a problem. And for him to stand up here and try to humiliate me and give the property owners wrong information is wrong in every way. Now, he's not going to tell you about the time that he ran for trustee 7 years in a row, and Goose Creek had to sue him to stop from running.
That is not true.
Because obviously he can't count. But I'm going to tell you something. This is wrong information. What you read was wrong, and to tell people that it came from an attorney, this is not even on a letterhead. This is 3 paragraphs typed on a piece of paper. That's it. I am done. No, I'm done.
This organization starts at the top.
It absolutely does.
Okay,
It absolutely does.
hold on, please.
Let's clarify this.
No, I'm done.
Let's clarify this.
Watch the speaking, you might be too close.
Let's get this clear.
Let's get this clarified. Yes, I do come up here and complain and bitch about everything, but I'm trying to keep these people on the right track. That's my defense there. Now, as far as this letter goes, I do not have permission to talk to the attorney. Therefore, when the board gave me this letter election morning to read and told me this is what the attorney wanted you to read this letter. Am I correct, Randy Davis?
What you told me. Who handed you that letter?
Kelly gave me this letter along with, well, Barb's supposed to be my liaison here with the trustees in the committee.
Did Barb give you that letter?
I believe it was Kelly.
You believe
Kelly
it,
or
you're
Barb.
not sure.
But, let's not point names. I didn't make this letter up, okay? I'm going by what I was given by the board. Now, if you want to doubt me, nobody doubted it back in October when I read it. Nobody questioned any of that. I'm going by what the attorney had said and gave this to the people, the board, for me to read. That's what I was sticking by. This is the first time I saw that piece of paper that says Larry Longworth must go. I've never seen it. Why wasn't any of this stuff given to me from the board? I do not know. This
You're
is
the
what was.
election chairman. I don't know either, Dean. I don't know.
I'm telling you, that's just it. There's no communication. Back when this was done, they've got this big argument going on, and they're trying to argue with one of the trustees amongst themselves. They want to put blame on me for everything. It's not happening. If you don't want me to be on this committee, you guys vote me off. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But I'm not going to stop policing the board, ever.
Thank you.
Dean, while you're there, could you also please answer a question for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you read off the list that you have that have currently volunteered for or are on the election committee. Can you please give me the names of the people on the election committee last year that have participated on the election committee, not just new?
It would have been Mike Schaefer, Barb and Jeff Pommier, Carol Stayforth, myself, Carol Matt, and Ray Kessner, Lynn Craig. That would be my list right there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's what I needed to know.
You got all that?
Thanks for your help.
Okay, my question to the board is, where do you want to go from here? We have a recommendation from the attorney. So, where do we go from here?
Didn't we already vote on this?
Do what?
Didn't we already vote on this?
What?
On Pat having the next
No.
term?
No.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we
Yes, we
did.
did.
Yes,
And
we
it
did.
passed.
There was a vote by the board that Pat be moved up under Proposition B, and it be counted as one term. It was
When was it?
motion. It,
Subject to something though. Go ahead, Barb.
It was subject to a review by the attorney.
okay,
And this is the review, this is the review by the attorney.
I did
You
not
remember
bring,
2 years ago, when before Proposition B ever came into fact, and there was a discussion amongst the board to go ahead and just seat Larry and I in those positions without putting it to a vote of the people? And we all voted and it passed, and then we said, oh, wait a minute. this is wrong. We retracted, drafted Proposition B and put it to the people. You can't vote to change the governance amongst yourself. You can,
That's correct.
but it's wrong, and you better backpedal just like we did back then.
It's really a covenant.
We make mistakes. We all make mistakes. That's like calling Dean out for that when he was handed that, even if he made a mistake. So you made a mistake and now you're out? Well, shit, you guys better all step down. We'll never have a trustee. We make mistakes on a daily basis. We all do. Amen. But this is one you shouldn't make.
Do we have any motions? Does anyone want to make a motion?
So,
I say we-
am I correct, as I understand, as it stands right this moment, Pat will rerun for election?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that,
Larry Longworth is
end
out,
of discussion,
And
and
Larry
Larry
Longworth
Longworth
is
will
out.
and
resign.
we got 3 open positions, an alternative, and 1 year.
Correct.
We got 5 holes right now coming up.
I say we rediscuss this with the lawyer because it has been done before.
It's been discussed with the lawyer, that's what we're about here this morning. There's no going back to the attorney and spending more money on attorney fees for no reason when it's been decided. So,
Okay, but technically she's a sitting trustee.
you like spending money on lawyer fees, we don't. There's no reason for lawyer fees, so we're sorry. This is it.
Technically, she's a sitting trustee, just like Barb stated.
Technically, you shouldn't be there.
It's cheaper to ask the lawyer now than get in a lawsuit later. So why can't you just
You know
ask
what?
the lawyer?
I don't know what I've done wrong
Follow the
to
covenant.
some of you people out there.
There's 75,000 reasons you've done this wrong. What are you talking about? You blew all our money. What are you talking about?
I did?
You turned us into the state for a lagoon when we should have handled it internally.
I
What
did?
are you talking about?
He's talking to me.
I'm sorry, I thought it was Michelle. God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And that comes from a quitter. That comes from a quitter.
Hey,
Can I have order?
Look, I'm sorry. I
Hey.
thought I was talking to Michelle or...
You had your
Can we please
chance.
have order?
You had your chance.
hey,
Hey, let's calm it down out there.
Excuse me,
Stop.
excuse me.
I'm sorry. I swear I thought it was me.
Quitter.
So I have a question, Randy. Weren't you
got
on the board and weren't you head of maintenance and knew about that for all those years and never fixed it? Weren't you on the board and knew
we're
about
not
it?
here to talk about the lagoon or the septic or what Michelle's done or lawsuits. I don't know what I've done to. Your apology is accepted.
The podium was in front of us.
That's all right. I don't know what I've done to a majority of you people out there. I don't know if I've done anything. I've just tried to do my best. I've tried to follow the rules, and I get a lot of conflicting stories with what the rules are. So I've only been here 10 months. I still got a lot to learn, and I'm trying to learn. So you know what? It's not a big deal. I will run again. My name is on the ballot.
Good.
And I will run again. If I win, I win. If I don't, I don't, then I guess I have a happy freaking.
Honestly, Pat, I do not believe people are doing this personally against you. I think it's the position. It's the alternate position.
And it does need to be fixed, and the attorney did say that Proposition B needs to be reworded. Jake, can I help you?
I believe that's our biggest problem. This Prop B, we used to have a regular election. We've done it for years and years and years. You had 3 years, 2 years, 1 year term. Then you had an alternate. When this Prop B came in, it screwed the whole damn election process up.
And
We're moving people up because we're scared to get rookies in here to learn this business.
And who wrote it and who got advantage from it? Randy.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Let's just, it's
Mr.
settled.
Chairman?
We don't need to make a motion, I don't think. It's on record. I do the minutes. I'll put it in the minutes. I will run again. I am on the ballot. And I appreciate all your support.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
Sean Jeffers has left the meeting, for the record.
He's not just taking a break, he's left the meeting?
He says, "I'm gone." He took his thing with
Okay,
him. Just for the record.
you can put that in the minutes. Okay.
Hey, are we still recording?
Yes. Yes, we are.
So there's no motion, I'm there. I'm first on the ballot. In case you didn't know my name, Pat Moore. I'm running. I'm a candidate.
I think instead of rewording Prop B needs to be completely eliminated and go back to our regular election.
Absolutely,
That's exactly what we
absolutely.
need to be doing.
We're gonna have to look at it, Jake, I agree with you. I mean,
Okay, I disagree. I've been on the board twice. It takes a lot to be on the board, a lot, and look at how many people come on the board as a lark. Excuse me.
hang on.
You was a rookie when you came on and you learned. Barb's been here. What we do, 2 6-year terms? You gotta stay out 3 before you can come back, or is it just 1 and you can come back?
One of you come back.
See, that's great.
Not after 6,
Yeah. You need to sit out 3 years before you can be able to come again.
I'm not on the board because I want to be on the board, or I want to be a big
But did
monkey.
you know
dog.
anything?
I'm on the board to do the best for Goose Creek, and that's where my heart is.
That's everybody's goal.
It absolutely
But
is.
you did not know that much about the board or being a trustee until you became one. And you learned like everybody else. And you tried to work with people to get things working in a smooth pattern. I understand that. But we don't just slide in a Prop B so old trustees can slide up into another position.
Well,
That's not the
When
point
you-
of Prop B. The
Jake.
point of Prop B is getting, number one, the trustees that have run and been voted on and are committed, who will stay. Then there's people that run for trustee because they have an axe to grind, because they want their street blacktop, or another reason, with a goal. They find out it is not the lark they think it is. It is not a lark. It is not a picnic. You are the bad guy. I don't look at Facebook only because I don't want to see what people are saying about me. But there are people that are dedicated. If we have people that know how to work on the board, are on the board, maybe they're not always good, but we've always had iffy trustees. But I do believe that people that have more experience helps when the newbies come on.
No. No.
now, tell me if I'll refer to you and Barb, have been on here. Prop B was, that was voted on, wasn't it?
Yes.
By the people? Thank you. By a majority of the people.
I do believe that Prop B is a good, just like arbitration. It's a wonderful idea, but we need to get the details worked out and clarified so it is gospel, or so it is logical and cannot be open to interpretation.
I would like to get it worked out to where whenever we got a question, we don't have to go to the attorney to get some kind of clarification.
We were like that before.
I know, and I'd like to stop that.
We had straight elections.
And then we had people suing because they didn't get elected. And that's what Proposition B was supposed to solve, and it hasn't.
It has not.
All right, let's move on, please.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. I mean, do we really need a motion? I mean, it's in the minutes. I'm running.
okay.
Whether you like me or not, Jake, I'm running.
You're running. Yeah.
What else? Anybody?
How do they determine that?
Yeah, Dave. Dean Morton. Still?
I thought that's what this meeting was to talk about, and you guys trying to get rid of him or whatever. I see that he's done nothing wrong. He made a mistake, like Bill said. Hell, if he made one mistake, all you guys might as well walk out of here. Everybody makes a mistake. So he's gonna stay as our chairman of the election committee?
As far as I know. Do we have anything else to discuss at this meeting? I'm sorry? What? Any other proposals by anybody on the board?
Who elects the chair for the, election committee? The board does?
The
The board does.
Then why are you asking the public if you wanna take Dean out, or you wanna put somebody else in?
I'm not asking the public, Jake, I'm asking the board.
Okay.
It takes a full vote of the board to put one in or take one out on the election committee. It's right here.
A
In the book.
majority, isn't it?
Sean?
Anybody gonna make a motion? I guess we're done.
What about the election that y'all just said you voted to add in?
She's gonna run.
Okay,
But there's a motion standing that says that he's going.
vote, keep Greg.
All right,
That vote was subject to the interpretation by the attorney.
right.
So the interpretation of the attorney is, her term's up in October, but she's running again.
She can run again or she can stay for one more year.
Okay.
That was his interpretation.
This clarifies how many positions are open. So we'll now have four trustees being seated, 3 for 3 years, 1 for 1 year, and alternate.
Did everyone hear
Pat
that?
said she doesn't want to take it over, so that's the way it is.
Did
That's
every-
fine.
Did everyone understand that? Okey-dokey.
In answer to somebody's question out there about the election committee, I'll read the guidelines for the committee. The committee can have as many members as deemed necessary, but not less than 4. The board chairman will appoint the committee chairman. The removal of any election committee member has to have full board approval if they are asked to resign. A trustee will be named to oversee the election committee. If any problem comes up, the trustee will take it to the board for clarification. No trustee running for election may be appointed to this position. That's what it's in. It's in the bylaws.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 9:17 a.m.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you all for showing up.
Thank
Don't
you
forget-
all also for being for Goose Creek. Whether you're one way or the other, at least Goose Creek is number one.
Don't forget, there's several